Now, you know, we are all on indictment watch. Donald Trump has already been indicted 3 times. Once in New York, once in Miami, and once in Washington. And now we're waiting for indictments to drop for Georgia. Next week is going to be yet another busy week. And there will be news media constantly on rotation discussing the indictment of Donald Trump. For the past few weeks, they have been preparing here in Georgia, setting up the stage, putting up barricades and things like that, because they are expecting and preparing for Donald Trump's cult to come out and act a fool. But what's going to be a little bit different about this is that Donald Trump may be indicted, but there are others surrounding Donald Trump that are going to be indicted as well. And as we wait for that indictment to drop, CNN just dropped an exclusive in regards to Donald Trump's attorneys, Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell, and an additional scheme that they were doing here in Georgia, in a county that's south of Atlanta, about 200 miles south of Atlanta. Yeah, they were messing around with voting machines down in this county. And why? Because Coffee County, this is the county where this took place, Coffee County is a heavily Republican county. He was going to win the county. So why were they messing around with those voting machines? I don't know. Let's get into CNN's exclusive reporting. Here's the title of the article. If you want to check it out for yourself, it's over on CNN. Just put the title in the search bar over on Google and it'll pull it right up. Because I don't think I'm going to be reading all of this, but we'll see. Let's get into it. So CNN is reporting that while Trump's January 2021 call to Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger and effort to put forward fake slates of electors have been considered key pillars of Fani Willis's criminal probe, the voting system breach in Coffee County quietly emerged as an area of focus for investigators roughly 1 year ago. Since then, new evidence has slowly been uncovered about the role of Trump's attorneys, the operatives they hired, and how the breach, as well as others like it in other key states, factored into broader plans for overturning the election. That's right. We also have the fake electors scheme. Baby, together, the text messages and other court documents show how Trump lawyers and a group of hired operatives sought to access Coffee County's voting system in the days before January 6, 2021, as the former president's allies continued a desperate hunt for an evidence of widespread fraud that they could use to delay certification of Joe Biden's electoral victory. Now, keep in mind that he has been told by plenty of people in his administration that he lost the election fair and square. I wonder if this is the same meeting where Marjorie Taylor Greene came out of the White House talking trash about the overturning of the election and they have to fight and all of that stuff. And 6 days before, pro-Trump operatives gained unauthorized access to voting systems. The local elections official who allegedly helped facilitate the breach sent out a written invitation to attorneys working for Trump, according to text messages obtained by CNN. So according to CNN, they've got actual text messages between Trump operatives, Donald Trump's lawyers, and elections officials down in Coffee County. They had received a written invitation from elections officials down in Coffee County. It was written to attorneys working for Trump, according to text messages obtained by CNN. investigators have scrutinized the actions of various individuals who were involved, including Misty Hampton, a former Coffee County elections official who authored the letter of invitation referenced in the text messages and other documents that have been turned over to prosecutors. So not only does CNN have these text messages and these documents, but prosecutors also have these text messages and documents. That would be Fannie Willis's prosecutors. They have also examined the involvement of Trump's then attorney, Rudy Giuliani, who was informed last year that he was a target in the Fulton County investigation, and fellow Trump lawyer Sidney Powell as part of their probe, according to people who are familiar with the matter. Now remember, Rudy Giuliani had to come down here and be interviewed or give testimony before a grand jury a year ago. Remember that? And Lindsey Ladybug Grahams also had to come down here and testify. Of course, CNN has reached out to Fannie Willis's office to try to get confirmation or additional comment on this story. Of course, she declined to comment, but CNN is also confirming that they do have a copy of this invitation that was sent to Trump's attorneys. That would be Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell. On January 1st, 2021, days ahead of the January 7 voting systems breach, Catherine Fries, an attorney working with Giuliani, Sidney Powell, and other Trump allies, shared a written invitation to examine voting systems in Coffee County with a group of Trump allies. That group included members of Sullivan Strickler, a firm hired by Trump's attorneys to examine voting systems in the small, heavily Republican Georgia County, according to those text messages. Like I said, I didn't understand why they needed to mess around with the voting machines. This is a heavily Republican area. Why are they... Anyway, moving on. The same day, Fries sent a letter of invitation to Coffee County, Georgia, to former NYPD Police Commissioner Bernie Kerik, who was also working with Giuliani to find evidence that would back up their baseless claims. And let's remember, can't forget, Donald Trump knew he had lost this election fair and square. So they were looking at these voting machines based on baseless claims of potential widespread voter fraud, according to court documents filed as part of an ongoing civil case. Fries then notified operatives who carried out the Coffee County breach and others working directly with Giuliani that Trump's team had secured written permission, the text show. Fries, of course, could not be reached for comment, and I'm sure she's a former employee of Coffee County. The messages and documents appear to link Giuliani to the Coffee County breach while shedding light on another channel of communication between pro-Trump attorneys and the battleground state operatives who work together to provide unauthorized individuals access to sensitive voting equipment. Quote, Rudy Giuliani had nothing to do with this. This is Rudy Giuliani's attorney, Robert Costello. You can't attach Rudy Giuliani to Sidney Powell's crackpot idea, end quote. Quote, just landed back in D.C. with the mayor. Huge things starting to come together. An employee from the firm Sullivan Strickler, which was hired by Sidney Powell to examine voting systems in Coffee County, wrote in a group chat with other colleagues on January 1st. Former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani was consistently referred to as the mayor in other texts sent by the same individual and others at the time. Quote, most immediately, we were just granted access by written invitation to Coffee County systems. Yay! That's a text message. And now CNN is going into giving us a breakdown and how they broke in to the Coffee County Elections Office. Shortly after Election Day, Hampton, remember, she's one of Coffee County's election officials, which I'm sure she is no longer. But shortly after Election Day, Hampton, still serving as the top election official for Coffee County, warned during a state election board meeting that Dominion voting machines could, quote, very easily be manipulated to flip votes from one candidate to another. It's a claim that has been repeatedly debunked. But the Trump campaign officials took notice and reached out to Hampton that same day. Quote, I would like to obtain as much information as possible. This is a Trump campaign staffer who emailed the Hampton lady down at Coffee County and at the time. And it's according to documents released as part of the public records request first reported by the Washington Post. So the Washington Post also has reported this little snippet that CNN is reporting. In early December, Hampton then delayed certification of Joe Biden's win in Georgia by refusing to validate the recount results by a key deadline. Coffee County was the only county in Georgia that failed to certify its election results due to issues raised by Hampton at the time. And Hampton, old shady criminal ass, was working behind the scenes with Donald Trump's attorneys, Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell, based on some false allegations of voter fraud. Hampton also posted a video online claiming to expose problems with the county's Dominion voting system. That video was used by Trump's lawyers, including Giuliani, as part of their push to convince legislators from multiple states that there was evidence the 2020 election results were tainted by voting system issues. Text messages and other documents obtained by CNN show Trump allies were seeking access to Coffee County's voting machines by mid-December amid increasing demands for proof of widespread election fraud. Now, Brad already done told them, no, sir. He's coming at Brad Raffensperger with all of these conspiracy claims, all of this stuff that he's seeing out there on Twitter, all of the nonsense, and Brad Raffensperger was there to debunk all of it. But yet, he and his people are working with Coffee County's election officials doing shady shit behind the scenes. Okay? Coffee County was specifically cited in draft executive orders for seizing voting machines that were presented to Trump on December 18, 2020, during a chaotic Oval Office meeting. I believe Rudy Giuliani was there. I believe Sidney Powell was there. I believe, if I'm thinking this is the meeting, Michael Flynn was there, and it was some other people there. Okay? During that same meeting, Giuliani alluded to a plan to gain voluntary access to machines in Georgia, according to testimony from him and others before the House January 6 committee. Days later, Hampton shared the written invitation to access the county's election office with a Trump lawyer. Text messages obtained by CNN, she and other location election officials, Kathy Latham, allegedly helped Trump operatives gain access to the county's voting machines, according to documents, testimony, and surveillance video produced as part of a long-running civil lawsuit focused on election security in Georgia. Now, it was two incidents. I believe there was one incident that took place up in North Georgia, up near Rome, Marjorie Taylor Greene's area, where they were doing some shady shit, and they let outsiders in to review election documents and all of that stuff. And they got the same thing going on down in South Georgia in Coffee County. Latham, who also served as a fake elector from Georgia after the 2020 election, has come under scrutiny for her role in the Coffee County breach after surveillance video showed she allowed unauthorized outsiders to spend hours examining voting systems there. And that's pretty much the article. I read the whole thing. So it's going to be interesting come Tuesday. Yeah, because our eyes are just not on Donald Trump. We knew that there was up to 12 other individuals that would possibly be indicted that was surrounding Donald Trump. Now we have an idea as to why those people will be included in the indictment. So I'm going to be looking for indictments for Sidney Powell, Rudy Giuliani. Who are these people from Chatham? Hold on. Let me get the names again. Where is it? Oh, Lord. Come on. Hold on a minute. Misty Hampton, who is a former Coffee County election official. She is the one that authored that invitation to invite Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell down. And I'm also going to be looking for Kathy Latham. She is also a former Coffee County elections official, and she's also one of those fake electors. And I'm also going to be watching to see if Lindsey Ladybugs Graham is going to be indicted. Because remember, he also called over here to Georgia. He was also attempting to interfere. Now, he wasn't as loud as Donald Trump. He wasn't as loud as Donald Trump. But he definitely called down to the state of Georgia, Brad Raffensperger's office, and was trying to interfere in our elections here in Georgia. So Tuesday is going to be interesting. Should I go live? I might go live.